Hello, Zach. My name is Brian, and I'm going to respond to your question about what should have been done about Saddam Hussein prior to 2003. I'm assuming that is your question. It was kind of vague on exactly what you were asking. Originally, I thought you were asking, what should we do now to get out of the situation? Which I think is a much bigger question because it has something to do with what's really going on. If we look back in history and we have hindsight, there's a lot of things that we could have done before we went to Iraq. One was to do what Congress had given the president the power to do, and that was to go after terrorists and to do it with world support. And this coalition of the willing was a farce, and you know that. If George Bush would have stuck to, we're going to go to Iraq if we have world support, then we'll go. If we don't, we don't go. And that was a big mistake right there. That said, if the world says don't go, then don't go. There's a reason. You know, we went into it with a very arrogant attitude. But you said a couple of things here. You want to address those who oppose the war, which is a lot of people. I would say the majority of people in the United States today oppose the war. The situation could be worse. Worse than what? What was already there? I don't think Saddam Hussein was going to make matters worse. Yes, he was a brutal dictator. You did say, though, there was a couple of things that you brought up. One was that our main reason for opposing the war is that the weapons of mass destruction was not a justifiable case. And there's many things that point to that. Hans Blick is probably the largest case. The person who was in charge of the inspection team that was there for the United Nations, who was conducting an investigation, felt that that investigation was not complete and wanted more time. We should have gave him more time. We should not have stuck to this timeline that a war has to start by March. And I think the targeted date was somewhere around March 21st, maybe earlier. But I don't understand why there was a timeline. What was so imminent? We never found out what the imminent danger was to the United States. And many people conclude, and perhaps with a strong basis for it, that there was no imminent threat. But you brought up Saddam Hussein using weapons of mass destruction against his own people. Well, don't forget that in 1988, when he did use those weapons of mass destruction, and actually prior to 1988, the United States was in support of Saddam Hussein at that time because he was fighting Iran. And we were supplying him weapons of mass destruction to wage against Iran. And that's exactly what he did. And you seem to avoid that. A lot of people avoid that. That Saddam Hussein used weapons of mass destruction, but yet the United States was in support of Saddam Hussein at that time. You also said that he denies basic human rights to all the people of Iraq. That's not true either. He favored one sect of the Muslim population, the Shiites. The Sunnis were against him. Even though the Sunnis were in the majority, the Shiites were in the minority. And if you were a member of the Ba'ath Party, you had a lot of favor with Saddam Hussein. So he did not deny basic human rights to everybody. He denied it to the majority of the population, granted, but it was not everybody. And you also said that he executes dissenters. There's a lot of countries that do that, and we're not going to war with them. And I think other people have brought that point up. So you said a lot about how you were setting up your belief in why we should have gone to war with Saddam Hussein. So I think people have voiced their opinion about that because you had the opportunity to also do that. But as far as a solution before we went there was to go in there with a united world. In fact, you said that at the end. You said the U.S. and the world should unite. And that's true. And it should not be the U.S. and the world. It should be the world. We're part of the world. You know, to say the U.S. and the world makes them separate than what we are. And that's not the way to look at it. We have to look at it that we are a part of the world. And if the World Council, the United Nations, has a majority that disagree with a decision, then we should abide by that decision. I know there's a lot of people who don't like the United Nations. You know, it's the right idea. It just needs tweaked. It's the right idea. We are not an independent police force that we can go around and say this is where we feel a problem is at, just because we want to influence that region of the world. And that's something that you have to agree with. You don't have to agree with it, but it's something that you need to open your eyes to, that we are attempting to influence a region of the world for our own gain. You know, and perhaps that's one thing that we need to do to change things, is to stop going around the world and being selfish and arrogant in what the United States wants. What's best for the planet? Not what's best for the United States, what's best for the planet. If we start becoming stewards, we start becoming charitable, we go into the political arena, we go into the world arena with altruistic beliefs that we are here to help, we will find that the world will become our ally. If we show them that we care, that we want to help, instead of showing them that we have the biggest bombs, we have the most high-tech airplanes, the largest navy, and if you don't do what we want, we're going to blow you away. That's imperialism, and we should not go into a situation like the Middle East with an imperialistic viewpoint. It's not going to work. Yes, there are Muslims who are engaged in many conflicts around the planet. One of your other video posters showed that. They didn't come up with a solution of what to do about Saddam Hussein. They did not answer your question. You posted their video. I watched the son of Nuo, his videos, and I didn't really understand why you didn't accept his videos as well. Because not everybody is giving you a solution. But I have a question for you. What's your solution for getting out of Iraq now? What's your solution for solving the problem now? We have a mess. How do we get out of that mess? You answer that, instead of trying to answer a question that makes no difference whatsoever, because we're there. We have this image in the world, and it's not a good one. So what's your solution for helping the United States regain its reputation in the world? You answer me that, and I'll be happy. Take care.